I just want to get some comments from John and Tim on how we get the implementation right, because obviously that seems to be key.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier on that how you implement and getting to the right end state is critical, and it's not going to be news to anyone. In terms of what I see with our clients, and having been through multiple of these HR transformations, the majority of which haven't been just shared services, it's looking at overall HR service provision, sense of expertise, business partnering, and so on. So executive sponsorship will be the top one for me in terms of making sure it's successful at the end. I would also say that having the right partners, if you have external support, or outsource provider, if you're outsourcing, selecting the right person. And then thirdly, what I see so often is organisations not putting their best people in to do the implementation, because the business is pushing, you need to deliver the business as usual services. So the people who can be involved in the implementation are not often the absolute best people you can put into it. And I would say that it should be the opposite. You are making your organisation for the future, you have your vision, you have what you want to achieve, and you should have your best people involved in that. There are a number of other things I could mention, but I think I'd say those are my top three.
Tim, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree about the executive sponsorship. It's key, and I've worked with shared service centres where they've looked to do a prescriptive rollout, where they're basically the decision's taken centrally, and then it's a decision that every part of the global organisation will follow suit. And I've also seen it where they make it optional, so almost like it's a buy-in, buy-out. And that, I think, causes a lot of issues. I think if you need to have that strong central core saying, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is why it's going to happen, and this is how it's going to happen. And I think also, to your comment, Graham, it is absolutely a journey, and people have to understand it's a journey. I think too many people look at the shared services environment and say, okay, well, we're going to start in March, it will be implemented by January, and we'll see all of this. And that's not the case, because it's constantly evolving, and you need to see what works for your organisation, look at what's best practice, look at how much you can bring in centrally, look at whether you still do need some local engagement, back to your point, to have that kind of warm, touchy-feely part as well. And I think, understanding that you're not just going to click your fingers and overnight it's going to happen is key. And also, I'd fully agree with the visibility comment, that one of the comments I see again and again from clients is that when they're talking to their internal business partners, their internal clients, the challenge is that you can't effectively report on what's happening. And if there is a level of uncertainty within the organisation and you are going to outsource or offshore or farshore, if you can't, if anything doesn't happen the way it's meant to, and you can't report back effectively to your business partners internally, the natural reaction is to blame the shared service centre and to blame the technology or the automation or the process change. So that visibility of what's happening and be able to report back effectively, accurately and quickly, I think is absolutely key. And if you can get those right, I think you can, I'd agree with you, Valerie, that you can get to that point where you're delivering a better service, because everyone's bought in and everyone's aiming for the same aim, and there's that core executive sponsorship. So this is what's going to happen now, and here's why.
I think the executive sponsorship is important, but I think a key success factor in our case with Vodafone was really the engagement with the local markets, because Vodafone group is relatively small. We have just 1,500, 2,000 people. Our business is very much in local markets like Spain, Italy, India, South Africa, everywhere in the world. And in the end, the service that we provide from HR shared service centers are service that we provide for local markets. However, if there is any issue with the service, the local executive team in those markets would not blame me for that. They would certainly go back to the local market HRDs and ask them what is wrong, and why do you not ensure as an HRD locally that we get the right service and at least good service as we got in the past. And therefore this was really important for us to work together with the local markets and have also a say and real input from them. What is important from your perspective? How do we run this? How do we want to deliver on this journey? What is the best approach for your local market? Which does not mean that they have the decision on it, but have an opportunity to input what really matters from their perspective, and that made it a success. And therefore, we don't feel any pushback from local markets to move the services into other locations.
I think that raises a really interesting point, because to me it's absolutely vital that it's one HR team, whether you are doing HR business partnering, whether you're doing a specialist function or whether you're in the shared service centre. It can't be a them and us. And I think sometimes people think of it as them in the shared service centre, but everybody in the function is in it together and sinks or swims together. So you've got to get the whole team supporting it and understanding that, frankly, if you can't get the basic services correct from the shared service centre, then however much organisational design work or fancy coaching you might do, frankly, it's not going to help if you can't get the basic service level right. So I think it's really, really important that you get the whole team united behind what you're doing.
And I really agree with that. I mean, we're investing such a lot of time at the moment making sure that every part of the HR function knows precisely what is going to happen when we go live with our new system, with our new services. And that means, what's the role of the business partner going forward, and that looks very different. What's the role of a HR generalist? What's the role of our centres of excellence? What's the role of sort of internal consulting? And what's the role of shared services? And some of them are dialing up or dialing down and, operating in a different way. There's more automation and what have you. But it's not just an impact on these transactional activities, it impacts the whole operating model of the function. And so we've invested quite a lot of time trying to make sure that that's a very clear story and that we can talk to the various parts of HR, but also to our internal customers about what's going to be different. And that's quite a big change effort in itself, actually, to get people to realise that part of their role is going to be different.
I think that's really key. Yeah, you're right, the customers, the employees and the managers. And one of the interesting things that we've done in the past is a day in the life of. So on a platform, put a bit of a joke, a bit of a couple of actors on the stage. This is what it's like for a manager today, all the problems and all the bits of paper and the handoffs and all the issues you have, and then switch to, and this is what it will be like tomorrow when this is all up and running. And we've done that for both managers and employees when we first launched it. And I think because it's very difficult when you're talking concepts about shared service centres, if managers have never worked with it, what exactly does it mean, what's going to happen? But if you can simplify it and show them sort of some of the day-to-day things they do, what's going to be different, that really helps. But it is worth investing a lot of time to that communication process.